The truth about waking up in a hive. The truth about living on a hive world is simple. You don't live here, you endure. Imagine opening your eyes and the first thing you feel is grit between your teeth. Not sand, not dust, fallout. The air tastes like old machine oil and burnt metal. A thin chemical sting crawling into your lungs with every shallow breath. There is no sunrise, only a slow brightening of the smog above you as a dozen shattered hollow signs flicker to life, painting your sleeping level in sickly greens and corpse-light blues. Somewhere below, deep in the black belly of the city, a manufacturum siren screams itself hoarse. Somewhere above, miles overhead, titanic plasma stacks vomit fire into a poisoned sky you will never see. Around you, in a hab-block built for 500 and crammed with 5,000, bodies stir and cough and swear and pray in 100 dialects of the same dead language. In the 41st millennium, trillions of human beings call these places home. Planets where the city never ends. Worlds where the only things deeper than the foundations are the graves. Today, you are one of them. This is what it's like to be a nobody on a hive world in the Imperium of man. To wake, to work, to fear, to die, and to learn that your suffering was never an accident. Chapter 1. The morning that never ends. Your morning begins with a boot in your ribs. It is not personal. Nothing here ever is. The man who sleeps above you in the hab stack, 3 rusted bunks welded into a wall of the hab cell, swings down and lands hard, his weight making the metal frame scream. His name is Jarek or Joran or something close. You have shared the same 4 square meters of space for 9 years and you have never bothered to get it right. There is no room in this life for extra memories. Your hab smells of too many people and not enough water. Old sweat, cheap amasec, recycled air gone sour. The reclaimer unit in the corner gurgles weakly, straining to pull one more breath out of the stale atmosphere. A cracked lumen strip in the ceiling flickers at a nervous frequency, stuttering between dim amber and darkness, like it cannot decide if you deserve to see. You share this room with 11 others. The hab-block registry says 3. Somewhere in the maze of corridors outside, a voxhaler crackles into life, the same voice you have heard every day since you were old enough to stand. A woman once, maybe, centuries ago. Now just a flattened, artificial tone wrapped in static and devotion. Shift cycle Gamma 4 commencing. Praise the Emperor and report to your assigned stations. Unauthorized absence is heresy. Obedience is life. You swing your legs out of the bunk and your bare feet find the floor. Cold synthcrete veined with hairline cracks, beading with condensation from the pipes above. It is always damp here. Not the clean damp of rain. You have never seen rain. But the greasy sweat of a city that never sleeps. The breath and waste and steam of 40 billion souls pressed into one world. In the corridor, bodies funnel past your hab door in a slow, shuffling tide. Workers from level 317 beta, all in the same grey coveralls stained with the same rust-brown marks. They do not speak. The first hour of the shift belongs to the city, and the city demands silence. Only the distant thunder of transit engines and the constant subsonic hum of the hive's beating heart fill the air. Today, we follow you. One worker among uncounted millions. No rank, no privilege, no power. A single human cell inside an urban organism so vast it wraps the curve of the planet like a scab. Through your eyes we will see what a hive really is. Not the spires and cathedra painted on recruitment picts, but the mold and rust and bone that make it live. You grab your respirator from the peg by the door. It is cheap, cracked around the seals, the filter blocks stamped with a faded aquila and the number 7, 19-3. You have never had a new one. No one on this level has. When the filter clogs, you scrape the worst of the sludge out with a nail and hope the cough does not get worse. Outside, the corridor ceiling hangs low. Bundles of cables droop like diseased vines, wrapped in flaking insulation and the occasional strip of devotional parchment. A single pick screen at the junction plays the morning litany on loop. A procession of golden-armored space marines, haloed saints, and noble workers smiling as they push levers and feed shells into artillery pieces the size of hab-blocks. At the bottom of the image, in letters taller than your hand, a simple phrase: "Your labor is your loyalty." You do not smile like the workers in the pits. Your jaw aches from clenching it in your sleep. Your eyes burn from the cheap Elo sticks you share with the others after curfew. Your hands shake as you pull on your gloves, fingers from a decade of vibration damage. This is the beginning of a normal day. No invasion, no demon incursion, no uprising, just the endless grinding routine that kills more hive dwellers than any war. Before we follow you out into the arteries of the hive, we need to step back, to see the whole thing at once, to understand what kind of civilization builds a world like this and calls it a success. Chapter 2: The City of a Trillion Souls. In the dark age of the 41st millennium, there are more worlds like this than you can imagine. The Administratum's own records, those that still exist, scrawled across 10,000 kilometers of parchment and stored in vaults older than your species' memory, estimate that there are at least 2 million Imperial worlds. Of those, hundreds of thousands are hive worlds, planets whose surfaces are almost entirely covered by city. A hive world is not just a big city. It is a megastructure that swallows the very idea of nature. Picture a single city, its foundations drilled deep into the cracked mantle of a used-up planet, its towers clawing so high into the ash-choked sky that they vanish into the poisoned clouds. Now multiply that structure by 1,000. Connect them with transit spines and rail arteries and void-shielded skyways. Wrap the entire world in them like a shell of rockcrete and plasteel. Some hives are as tall as mountains, stacked in layers that rise from the lightless underhive to the glittering spires. 5, 10, 15 vertical kilometers of human habitation. Levels with names like Palatine, Mid-Hexa, Sump Delta. Each level home to millions. Each level with its own weather, its own slang, its own gang markings and rites. On a world like Armageddon, the major hives number fewer than a dozen, but each holds tens of billions. On Necromunda, the hives are older than most star systems' written histories. On some forgotten border world whose name no one remembers, a single ancient hive might hold the last flickering remnant of humanity left alive on the surface. Population estimates are meaningless at this scale. The Administratum will tell you that a typical hive world holds between 50 and 500 billion citizens. Certain internal reports whisper of worlds that reach 1 trillion. These numbers are ink on parchment, scratched down by half-blind scribes who have never left their archive vaults. No one can truly count the people who live and die in the unregistered habs, the illegal crawl spaces, the collapsed sump levels. No one tries. Why build like this? Why stack humanity into towers so dense that a single structural failure can kill 3 million people in 60 seconds? The answer is simple, and it has nothing to do with comfort or safety or dignity. Hive worlds exist because the Imperium needs bodies. Bodies to fight its wars, bodies to feed its foundries, bodies to tithe. The galaxy is a charnel house, and the Imperium's answer is to breed humanity like rats in a maze of steel. A hive is a machine for turning lives into output. At the top, among the high spires and shielded domes, the noble houses sit in palaces of marble and glass steel, breathing filtered air, drinking imported wines from agri-worlds you will never see. Between them and you is a vertical ocean of concrete misery. Manufactorums churning out laser guns and promethium canisters and armor plates. Factorum chapels where tech priests chant to machines older than your great-grandparents' bones. Transit hubs that move more passengers in an hour than some frontier worlds see in a century. At the bottom, there is you, and those like you. The bulk of a hive world's population live in the mid-hive and the lower hive, vast districts of hab-blocks, worker barracks, shrines, sump farms, and slums. Here, crime is normal. Hunger is normal. Accidents are normal. The average citizen will never see the spires above or the underhive below. They will be born, work, sleep, bleed, and die within a handful of levels. Deeper still lies the underhive, a subterranean nightmare of forgotten infrastructure, and lawless dark. Whole cities buried beneath the city. Collapsed transit tunnels turned into battlefields between mutant tribes. Rusting promethium silos slowly leaking volatile fumes. It is said that some underhive zones have not seen a sanctioned enforcer in 300 years. Down there, the Imperium is a rumor. To understand your life, we need to understand the numbers that govern it. A hive world might tithe a regiment of Imperial Guard every year. 50,000 soldiers, stripped from the mid-hive and lower levels, marched onto void ships and sent to die on worlds they cannot pronounce. For the bureaucrats on the far-off capital world of terror, this is a line in a ledger. For your level, it is 20 empty bunks out of every 100. The hive replaces those bodies easily. Families pack 12 to a room. Children start work as soon as they can carry a tool. Life is cheap, space is not. When you step into the transit artery, pushed along by the flow of workers, you are not just going to a job. You are entering a living system that stretches from orbit to underhive, from noble spire to sump canal. Every breath you take, every ration you earn, every prayer you mutter into the fumes has been measured, taxed, and tithed 1,000 times before it reaches you. And if you fail to do your part, if enough people like you falter at the wrong time, the whole machine shudders and things break. But we are not at breaking point yet. Not today. Today, your shift awaits. Chapter 3. The shift that eats your life. The commute is the first test. It always is. The transit car shudders as it claws its way along the mag rail, a metal worm rattling through the bowels of the hive. Inside, it is standing room only. Packed so tight you can feel the heartbeat of the man pressed against your shoulder, smell the sour tang of fear sweat from the woman gripping the overhead bar. The air is humid with breath and the thin ozone bite of malfunctioning electrics. Above the doors, a cracked display flashes your route, from HAB 317 Beta to Manufactorum G19 Theta, 12 stops, estimated travel time 47 minutes. You know every second of that route. You have been doing this for 16 years, since you were 12. The Voxhalers spit out the daily announcements over the clatter and squeal of steel. By decree of the planetary governor, all citizens are reminded that curfew remains in effect from the 7th to the 9th hour of the sleep cycle. Unauthorized movement will be met with lethal force, in his name. Curfew. The word settles over the car like another layer of weight. You remember the last time someone you knew broke it? Jaska from level 319. She missed the final transit by 3 minutes when a sump breach flooded the corridor. They found her body the next morning, lying face down against a closed bulkhead door, 3 neat lass burns in her back. No one spoke about it. They just stepped over the blackened stains on their way to work. When the transit car grinds to a halt at stop 6, the doors judder, stick, then slam open. A wave of cold, chemical-tanged air hits you from the platform. The smell of the Manufactorum levels. A mix of promethium fumes, hot metal, machine lubricant, and something else. A charred, meaty undertone you do not think about. Your workplace is a cavern the size of a small city. Manufactorum G19 Theta produces lasgun power packs and promethium line coils. The ceiling is lost in darkness high above, crisscrossed with gantries and cable bundles. Ranks of assembly lines march into the gloom, each one a skeletal spine of conveyor belts, stamping presses and auto arms. The noise is a constant punishing roar, a layered thunder of pistons and presses and shouted orders that never truly fades, even after you go home. You take your place at station 442. You know the number better than your own. It is stamped into the metal floor, painted on the rail by your hip, burned into the back of your eyelids. Your task is simple, officially. Inspect each power pack as it comes down the line. Check the charge indicator. Make sure the casing is not cracked. Stamp the Aquila seal. In reality, you inspect 1 in 5. The line moves too fast. For every pack you check properly, 4 more flash past. Your supervisor, a thick-necked man with a Vox bead permanently glued to his ear, made it clear on your first day. Quota comes before quality. The guard needs weapons. If some of them explode in the hands of the men using them, that is the guard's problem. The shift is officially 12 hours. Unofficially, It is as long as the overseers decide. The chrono above the main gantry starts at 0 and counts up. Somewhere after the 10th hour, your sense of time dissolves in the heat and the noise. Your world shrinks to the rectangle of motion in front of you. The belt, the packs, your own hands. A tiny repetitive dance repeated perhaps 30,000 times a day. Your back aches from the constant half bend. Your fingers are raw where the cheap gloves have worn through. Each breath you take pulls a thin film of metallic dust deeper into your lungs. You know at least 3 co-workers who cough blood into their respirators before the end of each week. They keep working. Everyone keeps working. Breaks are regimented. 2 pauses of 15 minutes each, then a final one of 9. You are not entirely sure why the final break is shorter. Someone, somewhere, did the calculation and decided that 9 minutes was the exact amount of time your section needed. It is not your place to ask. During your first break, you sit in a canteen that smells of boiled nutrient slurry and recycled water. The overhead autoserves dispense grey paste into metal bowls with an apathetic whine. A pick screen on the far wall plays silent newsreels. Distant battles on faraway worlds. Guardsmen in dust-choked trenches. Orc gargants collapsing under concentrated artillery fire. The scenes of slaughter are overlaid with bold, reassuring text. Your work feeds the war. The Emperor sees your sacrifice. The slurry is rationed, 250 milliliters per worker, enough to keep you standing, not enough to make you strong. A thin sheen of oily residue clings to the surface of the liquid in your bowl, catching the harsh strip lights above in rainbow streaks. You drink it anyway. Back on the line, the hours blur. A siren wails once when someone down the row gets a hand caught in an autopress. You do not turn your head. You are not allowed. Enforcers appear, visors down, shock mauls ready, and herd the crowd of gawkers back to their stations. Medici servitors drag away whatever is left of the arm. A supervisor resets the machine. The belt never stops. By the time the end of shift klaxon sounds, a rise and fall of 3 tones that burrow into your skull, your whole body is a map of small pains. Your feet throb. Your shoulders burn. Your throat feels like it has been scrubbed with steel wool. You file out with the others, another anonymous figure in a river of grey. Outside the manufactorum, the sky, or what passes for sky at this level, glows a dim, toxic orange from the light of 1,000 smelting pits and exhaust funnels. The air temperature is a precise 31 degrees. It never changes. The environment systems of the hive hold it there, because that is the temperature at which the machines work best. You are tired, you are hungry, and ahead of you lies the second test of every day on a hive world. Not work, not fear, survival itself, the problem of resources. Chapter 4. Paying for every breath. On a hive world, nothing is free. Not water, not light, not air, not even your own corpse, which will one day be reclaimed, processed, and added back into the endless cycle of consumption. Your daily rations are calculated down to the calorie. The administratum scribes who determine them sit in distant towers, surrounded by cogitators and data slates, their fingers red with both ink and blood. For your labor designation, low-level manufacturing worker, grade 7, you are entitled to 1,800 calories of state-issued nutrient mash per cycle, 3.2 liters of recycled water, and a half share of hab-lumen time. On parchment, it looks generous. The reality begins at the ration queue. A line of 200 people stretches down the corridor outside Depot 44. The air is thicker here, heavy with a fog of human breath and the sour tang of frustration. Children cling to their parents' legs. Old men lean on rusted pipes, eyes dull behind yellowed sclera. Somewhere behind you, someone coughs a deep, wet cough that does not stop. The water comes first. You step up to a metal counter, slide your chipped ident tag across the sensor. A flicker of green, a mechanical chime, and a spigot dribbles a thin stream of clear liquid into your dented canister. 1.6 liters. Half your daily allotment. The other half is locked behind a higher tariff dispenser, accessible only with additional work credits. You could save today, drink less now, more tomorrow. But you remember the week when the reclaimer units failed on your level and the air went thick and hot and hard to breathe. The Medicae recorded 193 deaths from dehydration and heat stroke in 3 days. The Administratum later classified it as a localized ventilation inefficiency. You drink because you are alive now. Tomorrow is an abstraction. Food is dispensed from vats that churn day and night, turning a slurry of reprocessed organic matter into something technically fit for human consumption. A servitor, its flesh mottled, its eyes replaced with red glowing lenses, ladles out your share. A brick of nutrient loaf the size of your palm, dense and grey, stamped with a tiny flaking aquila. It smells faintly of burned protein and something sour. On paper, that loaf contains everything your body needs. In reality, it leaves a hollow ache in your stomach. Many workers supplement their diet however they can. Mushrooms scraped from sump walls, rat meat, smuggled offcuts from higher grade canteens. Everything has a price. Light is rationed too. Your hab-block is allocated a precise lumen budget for each cycle. Once it is exhausted, the systems cut power, plunging your level into darkness until the next allotment. That allotment can be adjusted. You have seen it. Levels that please the overseers get bonuses. Levels that harbour trouble see their lumen times slashed as punishment. Some hives keep whole districts in permanent twilight, a slow suffocation of morale. And then there is the air. Officially, air is free. The hive recycles it, scrubs it, pumps it, warms it, cools it. You breathe when you can, as much as you can. But unofficially, air is a commodity too. On higher levels, nobles pay obscene sums for personal atmosphere processors, drawing in filters of imported, off-world breezes. In some spire mansions, you can walk through a chamber and smell real pine, real ocean salt, real flowers. On your level, you pay for better air in different ways. The mask sellers crouch in the side corridors, their wares spread out on stained cloth. Respirators scavenged from dead workers, old guard surplus, knockoff filters packed with questionable materials. A decent filter costs 3 days extra work. A good one, the kind that might actually stop the fine particulate from turning your lungs to scar tissue by the age of 35, is more than you will ever be able to afford. Tonight, you trade 2 water chits and a half-full LO stick for a cracked third-hand filter cartridge. You know it is a bad deal. The seller knows you know. But your cough has been getting worse, and there is talk of a new smelter line opening 3 levels down. More fumes, less mercy. Scarcity shapes everything. Fights break out in the ration lines over perceived slights. Gangs control access to certain dispensers, demanding a cut of each ration in exchange for protection. The enforcers look the other way until the violence threatens output. In the sump farms that cling to the lower levels, entire communities labor waist-deep in black water to scrub algae from reclaimer tanks. The algae is processed into feedstock. The workers are exposed to biotoxins that will melt their organs from the inside by the age of 40. Their children inherit their jobs. There are stories of off-world traders who visit the upper hives, bringing luxuries, real meat, off-world fruit, even books. A single orange might cost more than you earn in a year. You have never seen one. You are not meant to. These systems of scarcity are not accidents. They are controls. Hungry people are easier to manage. Thirsty people work harder for the promise of a little more. People who know that their lumen time can be cut off for speaking too loudly do not speak at all. You finish your ration meal under the sickly flicker of a lumen strip that will go dark in exactly 17 minutes. Someone, somewhere set that timer. You do not know their name. They do not know yours. As you chew the last tasteless mouthful, the corridor outside your hab echoes with the heavy tread of armored boots. The third great fact of life on a hive world is about to walk past your door. Law, order, and the constant presence of fear. Chapter 5. Law written in blood. The first thing you hear is the clank, a trip hammer rhythm of ceramite on metal, out of sync with the shuffle of workers and the hiss of pipes. The sound of enforcer boots. Two of them march past your open hab door, armor plates gleaming dully in the lumen light. Their carapace is matte black, padded at the joints, reinforced at the chest with slabs of ceramite stamped with the sigil of the local precinct. Their faces are hidden behind full helmets, opaque visors reflecting a ghostly version of the corridor back at you. Shock mauls rest in their hands, heavy pistols at their hips. Behind them scuttle a pair of civilian informants, thinner, meaner, eyes flicking over every hab door. You recognize one. A woman from level 315, stringy hair pulled back tight, a cheap rebreather dangling around her neck like a trophy. She used to queue with you at the ration depot. Now she wears a thin band of red cloth around her arm, the mark of a registered informant. On a hive world, law is not a neutral force. It is a weapon. The enforcers, the local police, exist first and foremost to protect production. Their duty is to ensure quotas are met, curfews obeyed, and open dissent stamped out before it spreads. Theft, murder, petty crimes. These matter only if they threaten output. Above them sit the Adeptus Arbites, the Imperium's true judges. Where the enforcers answer to the local governor and guildmasters, the Arbites answer only to terror. Their black-armored patrols rarely descend to your level. When they do, something catastrophic has happened. But you do not need to see Arbites to feel the law. Its shadow is everywhere. On the walls, posters bearing the stern visages of robed judges, text in bold high Gothic. Duty is its own reward. Heresy grows from idleness. In the Vox announcements, lists of crimes and punishments, unauthorized congregation, 10 lashes, possession of Xeno's artifacts, summary execution, failure to report suspected heresy, complicity, penal servitude, in the people around you, the way conversations die when certain words are spoken, the way eyes slide away from anything unusual, any sign of mutation, any unlicensed symbol daubed on a wall. On a hive world, anyone can be an informant. Many are, not out of loyalty, out of hunger. Informant pay is steady work. The precinct warden offers script in exchange for whispers. A name here, a location there. Report a smuggler, gain 5 extra water chits. Report an unlicensed preacher, gain priority access to the medici queue. Report a suspected cult cell, and if the Arbites verify your claim, your whole family might be uplifted 1 level. A whole level. That is the kind of dream that keeps people talking. And then there is collective punishment. On the 15th day of the 8th work cycle this year, a worker from level 320 snapped. He attacked his supervisor with a cutting torch, rammed the white-hot tip into the man's chest until it punched through his back. The overseer died in under a minute. Enforcers arrested the worker before his hands had even cooled. The execution was public, of course. In the transit concourse, under harsh lumen strips, 50 workers forced to watch as their colleague was strapped to a steel frame and given 30 lashes with a shock whip. His screams cut through the background noise like tearing metal. When he finally sagged, skin hanging in ribbons, they shot him once in the back of the head. That was not the punishment. The real penalty fell on level 320 itself. Ration allotments were reduced by 20% for a full month. Lumen time cut by half. Curfew enforced an hour earlier. Quotas raised by 10%. Every man, woman, and child on that level suffered for one man's outburst. You heard later that 12 people starved. 3 more died when they tried to break into a ration depot and the enforcers opened fire. Collective punishment is efficient. It turns neighbor against neighbor. It ensures that the next time someone feels the heat of rage in their veins, the hands that hold them back will not be enforcer gauntlets, but the grip of friends and family who cannot afford the price of their anger. Law here is not about justice, it is about fear. Fear of the enforcer's shock maul, fear of the Arbite's bolt gun, fear of being named, of being associated, of being near the wrong people at the wrong time. The only thing that tempers this terror is the promise that obedience will be rewarded. If not in this life, then in the next. And that promise is woven into every prayer, every poster, every flickering vox chant that echoes through the hive. Night is closing in. Curfew approaches. As you close your hab door and slide the rusted bolt into place, the lumen strips outside, dim to a deep, bruised purple. And from the speakers hidden in the walls comes the low, rising murmur that defines every sleep cycle on a hive world, the litany of obedience. Chapter 6. Prayers over the machinery. The sound begins as a whisper, a soft, almost soothing murmur under the coughs and shifting bodies of 1,000 tired workers settling in for another sleepless night. Then the volume rises. The speakers crackle, distort, and suddenly the voice of the hive's resident confessor fills every corridor, every hab, every sump market and manufactorum canteen. His words are old, so old their original meaning has been rubbed smooth by centuries of repetition. But the rhythm is familiar. In the name of the God Emperor of mankind, who sits immobile upon the golden throne of holy terror, we give thanks for the labor of this day. We give thanks for the opportunities to suffer in His name. We give thanks for the chance to be useful. Religion on a hive world is not a private matter. It is infrastructure. The Imperial Creed is the glue that binds the shattered lives of billions, the story that tells them their pain is not meaningless. Every wall bears shrines. Every workplace begins and ends with litanies. Every disaster is framed as a test. Every act of obedience as a gift to a distant, dying God you will never see. You kneel automatically when the litany plays. Everyone does. Partly out of belief, partly out of habit, partly because you know that somewhere, perhaps 2 levels up, perhaps right outside your door, an informant is listening for the sound of anyone who does not. In the manufactorum, the line supervisor leads a prayer every 3rd hour. It is not optional. You have seen what happens to those who roll their eyes or fail to bow their heads. First, a beating from the enforcers. Then, if the offense is repeated, a visit from the local ministorum cleric. Confession, purge, re-education. People who go to re-education sometimes come back, sometimes they do not. The Adeptus Ministorum understands the hive mind intimately. They know that a man who believes his suffering counts for something will endure far more than one who does not. So they tell you that the God Emperor sees every blister on your hands, every breath you choke down in the fumes, every night you sleep hungry to pay for your child's medicine. They tell you that He smiles upon your pain, that in the afterlife you will stand in His light, and all this filth and rust will fall away. The sermons are everywhere, in the pick screens that flicker in every corridor, looped images of noble martyrs smiling as they walk into gunfire, guardsmen raising banners on corpse-strewn hills, workers kneeling in gratitude as a robed priest blesses their tools. In the tiny, hand-copied pamphlets passed from hand to hand in the queues, prayers for endurance, for obedience, for gratitude. The words change from level to level. The message never does. The ecclesiarchy also teaches you who to hate: heretics, mutants, xenos, the nameless, numberless enemies of mankind who press in from every side. The war footage on the canteen screens is not just news, it is catechism. Every exploding tank, every screaming alien, every martyrdom is a reminder. You are lucky to be here, lucky to be allowed to work, lucky to suffer. Propaganda fuses with daily life until you no longer notice where one ends and the other begins. The worker songs you hum on the line are rewritten hymns. The graffiti scrawled on hab walls, crude aquilers, skulls, litanies of hate, are half prayer, half territorial marker. The very calendar is marked in holy days and remembrance weeks, each one an excuse for another sermon, another tithe, another opportunity to prove your loyalty. And yet, under all the litanies and prayers, something else moves: resentment, doubt, hunger for more than the promise of a reward after death. In the quiet corners of the hab stacks, away from the sanctioned shrines, small gatherings form. People who whisper of better lives, of off-world colonies where the air is clean and the sky is real. of gods who answer. The Imperium calls them cults. Sometimes they are little more than desperate men and women sharing stolen food and forbidden dreams. Sometimes they are much worse. The warp listens when mortals cry out. On worlds like this, where misery is as common as dust, the great predators of the Imperium always circle. For now though, for you, the creed holds. You mouth the prayers with everyone else. You press your fingertips to the cracked, soot-stained aquila nailed above your hab door. You thank the Emperor for another day of toil. And you try not to think about the fact that, statistically, your life expectancy, at your level with your work assignment, is 42 standard years. You are 30. Sleep does not come easily. It never does. The walls are thin. You hear your neighbors arguing over rations, whispering about a cousin taken by the Arbites, sobbing quietly as they count their losses. Somewhere far off, a machine the size of a cathedral powers down, its deep mechanical thrum fading into silence. The hive shifts in its sleep. On the surface, tomorrow will be another ordinary day. The shifts will run, the rations will flow, the prayers will echo, and the enforcers will patrol. But under the skin of the hive, stresses are building. Structural, social, spiritual. Hives are built to endure, but nothing this vast, this strained, can hold forever. When the failure comes, and it always comes sooner or later, it will not be gentle. Chapter 7. When the hive wakes up angry, the warning signs are there. They always are. Cracks in the walls, rumors in the queue, a new fever passing through the habs, a flicker in the lumen strips that lasts a little too long. On the morning the crisis begins, your alarm does not sound. You wake to silence. No vox chant, no siren. Just the distant, unsettling groan of the hive's superstructure shifting. When you open your hab door, the corridor outside is dim. Only 1 in 5 lumen strips is active, casting long, uneven shadows. The air smells different, a sharp, acrid tang under the usual stew of sweat and rust. People stand in knots, whispering. No one seems to know why the shift has not started. Then the first siren sounds, not the shrill wail of the end-of-shift klaxon, a deeper, throbbing tone that vibrates in your bones. Emergency. Vox hailers burst into life. The message is clipped, almost frantic beneath a veneer of official calm. Attention, citizens of habitation levels 3 and 15 through 322. Structural stress has been detected in support sectors Delta and Theta. Remain calm. Report to your designated mustering points. Unauthorized movement is prohibited. The Emperor protects. Structural stress. 2 words that mean everything and nothing. The hive has been standing for millennia. Buried and rebuilt, patched and reinforced. Whole districts have collapsed before. You have seen the Picts. 1 miscalculated load, 1 corroded support strut, 1 under-pressurized void between hab stacks, and an entire section can peel away like rotten bark. You join the flow moving toward the mustering point. A broad transit concourse, already filling with bodies. The air grows hotter as more people pack in. The walls hum with the strain of overloaded power conduits. Somewhere far above, a deep, cracking boom echoes down through the levels. Dust rains from the ceiling in fine, choking sheets. Panic is a living thing. You can feel it moving through the crowd. A shoulder brushes yours too hard. Someone shouts. A child starts crying, high and thin. Voices rise, questions, accusations, demands. Then the lights go out. For 3 long seconds, there is nothing. No light. No sound but breath and heartbeat and the creak of ancient metal under unimaginable strain. In that darkness, the hive feels less like a city and more like a tomb. Emergency lumens flicker on, bathing everything in a deep blood-red glow. People look like shadows cut from rust. The siren continues its slow, implacable pulse. Across the concourse, a support column buckles. You see it happen. A hairline crack races up the length of the pillar like lightning. For a heartbeat, it holds. Then the upper section shears away, 5 tons of plasteel and rockcrete tearing free and plummeting down into the crowd. There is no time to run, no room. The falling mass hits like the fist of a god. The sound is beyond description. A wet, grinding roar of bone and metal and screams cut short. A pressure wave slams into you, hurling you to the floor. Your ears ring. The air fills with dust and the metallic tang of fresh blood. Dozens die in that instant, maybe hundreds. No one will ever know the exact number. They will be recorded as acceptable losses due to structural failure in a report that no one at your level will ever read. The survivors scream. Chaos erupts. Some try to dig through the rubble with bare hands. Others trample over the fallen, desperate to escape. A fight breaks out at one of the exits as a group of workers from level 320 try to force their way through ahead of everyone else. Someone pulls a knife. The enforcers respond with practiced brutality. Shock mauls crackle. Batons rise and fall. A shotgun booms, the sound flat and cruel in the enclosed space. 3 bodies drop. The crowd recoils, hatred and terror warring in every eye. This is one kind of crisis on a hive world, the physical failure of systems pushed beyond their limits. But there are others. Disease spreads faster here than anywhere else in the Imperium. One contaminated water line, one infected sump pool, one ship from an off-world port carrying spores in its hold, and whole levels can be quarantined. Doors welded shut, airlocks sealed, no one in, no one out. The sick die in the dark, their bodies rotting where they fall, the stench seeping into the walls. Riots are rarer than you might think. Not because the people are content, but because they know the price. When a true uprising begins, when banners bearing forbidden symbols appear in the streets, when Arbeit stations are attacked, when entire hab-blocks refuse to report for work, the response is apocalyptic. In the archives of the Adeptus Terra, there are records of hives where whole sectors were vented into the void to put down rebellion. 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 lives snuffed out in a single act of policy. Gases pumped in, firestorms unleashed, void shields selectively collapsed. The numbers are always rounded. The dead are never named. Then there are the other crises, the ones no one speaks of openly. Cult uprisings bubbling up from the underhive, demonic incursions tearing through reality itself in forgotten sump vaults, genestealer infestations that turn whole lineages into weapons against their own kind. From where you stand, coughing in the red light, ears ringing, eyes stinging from dust and grief, you will probably never know the full truth of what is happening in the depths or the heights of your hive. You will only feel the aftershocks, stricter curfews, harsher sermons, more frequent Arbeits patrols, a new banner in the concourse commemorating the martyrs of an incident whose details are classified. For now, the immediate danger passes. Emergency crews arrive, half-human servitors hauling cutting torches, medici in stained white smocks, tech adepts trailing myriads of cables. The collapsed pillar is stabilized. The bodies are removed. The rubble is cleared. Within 24 hours, the concourse will be open again. Within 48, the stain of blood will be hidden under a fresh layer of grey sealant. Within a week, the collapse will be a story told in lowered voices. Another grim anecdote in a city built on them. You survive. Your hands shake for days. You wake in the night to the memory of that pillar falling, the sound of bones breaking under stone. But the shift whistle still blows. The quotas still stand. There is no time for trauma. In the ledger of the administratum, your district is marked operational. In the ledgers that govern your body, another tally is silently advancing. Time. Where? The slow erosion of life in a place designed to spend it. Chapter 8. Born, used, forgotten. Years pass. On a hive world, time is measured less in seasons than in shift cycles and rebuilds. The lumen strips never change hue. The air never smells fresh. The only way you know you are getting older is by the deepening lines on your hands and the way the ladder rungs bite a little more sharply into your knees each year. You have seen people rise. A cousin who caught the eye of a mid-level clerk and was given a posting in the administratum sub-habs 3 levels up. Overnight, her rations doubled. Her lumen time increased by 20 minutes per cycle. She sent back a pict once, herself in a room with only 4 beds, smiling like someone who has seen a miracle. You have seen many more people fall. Men crippled by machinery, shuffled into the waste reclamation yards until their lungs failed completely. Women who broke under quota pressure, their names quietly erased from work rosters. Children who never reached their 10th year, claimed by disease or accident or simple malnutrition. Social mobility exists, technically. There are mechanisms, promotions within the manufacturing guilds, merit postings in the local PDF, rare scholarships to the scholar progenium for orphans of those deemed sufficiently loyal. But the numbers are cruel. For every 1,000 workers at your level, perhaps 1 will move up in a decade. For everyone who rises, hundreds will descend into the underhive, into penal servitude, into unmarked graves. Life expectancy statistics are not announced over the vox. You learn them in whispers. A medicaid who drinks too much and talks too loudly. A half-burned data slate scavenged from a trash chute. At your age bracket, in your labor category, the median age of death is 42. Causes vary: respiratory failure, industrial accidents, violence, infection. In truth, they are all just different faces of the same thing, the hive using you up. Most people die as they live here, unnoticed. A man collapses on the line. The belt stops for 3 minutes. Medici servitors arrive, declare him deceased, tag his body for reclamation. The overseer notes the downtime, deducts it from the section's efficiency bonus. The line restarts. In the habs, death is a quieter thing. A cough that gets worse. A fever that does not break. A wrong step on a rusted stair. Bodies are removed at night, wrapped in grey shrouds, taken to the processing levels. Some become corpse starch to feed those still working. Some are rendered down for industrial chemicals. Some, the lucky few, are burned in sanctioned crematoria, their ashes added to the incense that fills the shrines. You think about your own death more often as the years go on. Not in a dramatic way. There will be no heroic last stand for you, no Xenos warlord felled by your hand, no demonic incursion banished by your sacrifice. Statistically, you are far more likely to die because a machine that should have been replaced 2 centuries ago finally fails at the wrong moment. Sometimes you catch yourself wondering what you might have been, somewhere else. On an agri-world, perhaps you would have walked under an open sky, tilled fields of actual soil. On a void station, you might have seen the stars. On a feudal world, you might have died on a pike instead of under a falling hab wall. But you were born here, in a hab cell barely large enough to turn around in, to parents who worked themselves into early graves. The hive did not ask what you wanted to be. It told you, one day, a day like any other, shift cycle number 23,118, by your manufacturer's tally. You feel a tightness in your chest that will not ease. The air feels thicker than usual, the respirator heavier. Each breath is a shallow, ragged pull. There is a taste of copper at the back of your throat. You keep working for another 4 hours. You have to. Missing quota means ration cuts for your whole section. At break, you suppress a coughing fit so violent it brings tears to your eyes. You press your palm to the cool metal of Station 442 and whisper a prayer, unsure if you are addressing the Emperor, the machine spirit, or the hive itself. Eventually, your body makes the choice for you. Your vision tunnels. The roar of the manufactorum fades to a distant hum. You feel yourself falling. Then nothing. You die as you lived, on the line, under the gaze of flickering lumen strips and indifferent machinery. Your co-workers pause for a moment. Someone mutters a prayer. The servitors remove your body. Your name will be noted on a slate in the hab-block office. Your bunk will be reassigned within 48 hours. Your remaining ration chits will be claimed by the administratum as outstanding tithe. Perhaps, if you are very lucky, a priest will speak your name once in a litany of the fallen. That is one way this story ends. Another way is that you are taken early, drafted into the Astra Militarum during a troop tithe, shipped off to some distant front. You die in a trench under an alien sky, laser in hand, lungs already ruined by hive air. Your home remembers you as a number on a conscription sheet, or perhaps you catch the eye of a recruiter for the local Arbeits or mini-storeroom. You trade one kind of servitude for another. You become the boot instead of the face under it. You live a little longer. You die somewhere cleaner. In all these endings, one truth remains. The hive does not care. The Imperium does not care. The universe certainly does not care. You were born into a system that measures your worth not in dreams or kindness or potential, but in output. In the number of parts you inspect, the hours you endure, the liters of air you convert into labor before your lungs fail. And yet somehow, in stolen moments, a shared joke in the canteen, a smuggled view of the stars through a maintenance hatch, a child's laugh echoing down a metal stairwell, people find ways to be human, to love, to hope, to imagine that there is something beyond the rust and the fumes. Those moments do not change the math. They do not shift the tithe numbers or loosen the enforcer's grip. But they are real. They are yours. As your story ends, the hive continues. New workers file into Station 442. New children are born in the habs. New sermons echo through the vox. The machine does not pause. Your life was a spark in a storm of a trillion others. Brief, unglamorous, unrecorded. But without sparks, a storm is just empty wind.